Look, Clack turned into a robot. And he's being very quiet.
What's up? How are you guys? I think I got 2 more left. Okay, I got a problem. I got 3 left, and my jig holds 2 at a time.
Wow.
Oh, it's really gonna mess with my OCD. I guess I could just run it.
Even color in there.
Huh? Yeah, I may have a black one over here. Hang on.
Yeah. Anyway, how's everyone doing tonight? Another Sunday Night Live here. Oh,
Yeah, I had an extra one in the drawer. But yeah, so I got 2 more. I got 2 more passes. It's not screaming too loud, is it?
no.
Because it does. You know how the frequency changes. It's like ee-oh.
Well, it's usually with that thing, it's the fans that are going to kill you.
No, this is an Omni one.
Even that one's kind of loud.
It's not as loud as the Omni X.
They both move a lot of air.
I needed the 150 by 150, and I haven't got the other one calibrated exactly to where I trust it. So yeah, I'm waiting to hear back from Com Marker to make sure I'm not doing something wrong on the new 10 watt. I was going to use the 10 watt because I figured it'd be twice as fast or thereabouts. But yeah, not there yet. So
yeah, well, mine is on the bench. Got the cables swapped over, got the new head on, so I got to start getting it calibrated and do some playing on my own.
Yeah. Well, I like the UVs. Just give it that special look. Oh. So yeah, getting some stuff together. I was working on a job for somebody else, and I was like, while I got the jig set up, let me go ahead and I got these guys going. So I was like, while I got my jig set up, let me go ahead and make me some. So I ain't got to go through the trouble again. And it's one of those things too that I'll just sit here while I'm editing or whatever and let them run, because with the photo and the background and all that, it's taking me 3 minutes a piece for this card. So as far as selling them goes, these probably wouldn't be real good ones to be trying to sell, because like I said, it's 6 minutes for 2. But for me to hand that to somebody and, tell them, hey, I do laser engraving, that to me, that's going to knock their socks off. If they know anything about laser engraving and they see that, they're going to be like, wow, okay, yeah. So that's the whole objective. Oh, there it goes.
I mean, the problem with that, though, is if they know anything about laser engraving, then they might be doing it themselves.
Well, not necessarily.
I find that, it's one of those things where people in the know who work with it are impressed by that stuff, whereas people who are not in the know are impressed by pretty much anything.
Yeah.
It's like I'll look at a project and I can point out every single little mistake and issue that I had with it. Everybody else is like, what are you talking about? It's perfect. It looks great. Yeah, except for these 10 things.
Yeah, because I thought that I had a timing issue in my machine earlier, because the Claycley's logo, which is really small, these things are like tiny, but you can see them pretty decent. Well, I had a little bit of ghosting, and I'm like, why is that ghosting? But everything else was sharp and clear. So I'm like, all right, let me run a little test card and test my timings. And so I run a little test card. Timings was a little bit off. So I changed the timing on the machine, like the whole machine, ran the next one, and then everything else was blurry and the logo was right. And I'm like, oh, you dummy. What it was the center of that logo is a different color. So I've got it to where it's shading. So I'm running it at 6,000 millimeters a second, where everything else is running at 2,000 millimeters a second. And that speed difference was causing it to need a timing adjustment. It wasn't the machine as a whole. It was that 6 millimeters a second on that little tiny image. So I wound up and just adjusted timings on that one layer, and they're rocking now. So cool. I don't know what I was thinking. Rookie mistake. got it going on now. And like I said, I got this one, and then I got one more set to do. But like I said, it takes 6 minutes to do the two. So once I get that done, I'll put them in a box and be done with that for today. But yeah.
Cool.
So what's everybody up to? Let's see who all's here. See if we got any questions yet.
I think I've seen a few come through, but getting the room's filling up.
Yeah, it usually takes a few minutes for everybody to get here.
Yeah. So, anyway, yeah. So what I've been working on this weekend, besides getting called into work, we're not going to go in that. But so yesterday was a bit of a waste for me. But I've been working on with the F2. Wanted to play around with the curved surface engraving, and of course, being Christmas time, figured what better time than to play around with these round ornaments. And so
Cool.
I did actually drop that video about half hour before the live. So some people caught it. And for those that didn't, you can watch it afterwards or tomorrow. But the X-Tool F2 has the ability to go and create a mesh map, kind of like the P2 and the S1 and such, where it will measure different points and just basically create a mesh. And from there, you can drop in your object, which works nice because then it just starts in the center, works its way out, and refocuses down as it needs to as it goes around the mesh. And so did some playing with that, and also a couple different methods for painting them. And so that he was using the IR laser, and it worked out fairly well. I was able to do red and
Are those the glass ones, or you said those are the?
No, these are all glass.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not sure how it will work on the plastic ones because
I was wondering if that's what you had done.
And then blue with the college logo, which is because blue is actually a college color and such. So all that came out really well, and so I figured I just had to clack on a Christmas ornament.
I expect that to be on your tree.
So anyway, that I was wondering how well this is going to come out, because when I engraved it, it looked like it just ablated everything away. But once you backfill it with white, it's all right, Yeah. So there are limitations to that as the curve gets sharper, the mesh starts struggling, and so on this size, I was limited to about what I come up with about 37 or 38 millimeter square working area, which is about roughly half the size the ornament. But also found this jig. This is on Maker World, so it's a free file. This drops into the F1 or the F2, and then they provided a bunch of different diameter little inserts like this.
I like the color selection on that.
Well, got to use it up on something. It's not good for anything else. They got the little kind of the knockout for the stem and such, and so nice that this was freely available and worked pretty well. Drops the center of the ornament in the center of the laser, and so I linked that on that video as well. If people are interested in this, you got the F1 or F2. There's a file out there you can go ahead and use. If you don't have a 3D printer, Sam at Samcraft also has one that you can pay for. It's different from this, but same effect. And you could drop in baseballs and golf balls. I mean, they're over there. They go down to, this is like the second largest one or so, and then they go down to about an inch in diameter. So anyway, that was kind of a fun thing to play around with today. Still playing with figuring out the RA3 rotary, so hoping to get something out on that with both the P3 and the F2 here in the near future as I figure out its ins and outs, but not there yet. So Diamond State Precision says, I saw another YouTuber etch on the plastic sphere ornaments using the F2 UV. Yeah, I'm sure on the UV it'd be a lot easier. So maybe I need to try that. I've got the rotary for the com marker. I don't have the X-Tool UV one to test out, but I just fear that the IR and the blue diode are just going to melt.
Yeah, it's going to sticky mess. It's going to be a bad mess. Yeah. Oh, speaking of IR, woo-hoo, yep. So, and I'm keeping the little boxes because when I order them, they come in these little individual boxes. I'm not sure exactly how many is in a box. I'm thinking probably 50. But I'm going to keep these little boxes so I can keep them together. Let me show you something. Speaking of the F2 UV, let me show you something.
Okay. So for everybody else, you know, there's this miniature craze with all these like miniature buckets from like Lowe's and Menards and such. Well, if you want to have fun laser engraving on some stuff and you have a Michaels nearby, they sell miniature tumblers now.
Oh, that's kind of cool.
So I had to stick my UV printed logo on one of them.
Yeah.
It's kind of more of a shot glass, though. It's not going to keep you very hydrated.
All right, so check this out. All right, this is. I get the top off of it by myself. This is the little jack stand and the lens and everything for the F2 Ultra. It was packaged so well that I decided to use their packaging and make a box for it so it'd have a lid. Because the way that this worked is it slid under. You know how X-Tool packages them where they slide it underneath the Galvo? Well, when I pulled it out, I'm like, man, that is a good little storage compartment. But I designed me I went in boxes.py, measured everything up, and made me a box.
Here you go.
Fit it. So now I can keep all of the parts from getting dusty because the lenses and everything's in there. So been working on that this week.
Cool. Yeah, with the F3, the packaging actually becomes its storage case natively. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. So yeah, I haven't really played with it a whole lot, but there it is. Yeah, this is going to get used on the either the F2 or the F2 Ultra UV. I'm not sure which, because I don't have a big CO2 machine to use it with. Hashtag Steve gets all the cool toys. All I've got is the little baby machines.
Technically, a UV laser is cooler than a CO2. Thus, the cold burn. That requires one of those little drum rim shot things, you know.
Yeah, I hear you. And another thing that I've been doing, of course, is I've been doing a lot of calibration on the laser. So, got to have your old scratch paper for calibrating. Makes it easy.
Does help.
But yeah, so these guys, they send you these lenses, but they don't send you nothing to protect them. Like once you take them out of the plastic, they're all exposed. So I have designed myself and 3D printed myself some little pieces that pop off and on the lenses here to keep them protected, so I can, have them put up. So I've been working on that as well as the Omni stuff, because I've had to upgrade the new Omni to the 10 watt. Like I said, I'm still not still haven't got all the bugs worked out of it, but I will tell you that it cuts pretty good. This is just 3-inch basswood, but it actually cut pretty nice. It just my squares ain't the size they're supposed to be, but it does a good job. It even cut 1/4-inch plywood really clean. So just got some calibration issues I got to work through now. I should be good to go.
Cool.
Busy week around here.
Joseph is asking if you can post your 3D printed or wood jig files for the OmniX on Etsy.
I have a few parts on there already. I'm going to like the lens caps and stuff like that. I'm going to end up putting those in there with it, but I haven't done that yet. So give me a little while to work through everything that I'm having to do. The new Omni X has, they've changed it a bit. I've seen somebody got one in and was asking me questions about it. The ones that I think me and Steve have are like some of their in-house testing models, and they've made some changes to the consumer model. So I'm hoping that none of the changes they've made will affect anything that I've designed. But I know they've come up with their own, like where I had to make my exhaust back there. I made an exhaust tube and everything. I know they have come up with their own now at this point. But like the lens cover and the jack stands and all that, which with the 10 watt, you don't really got to have the jack stand anymore. So I've been playing around with that. But hang on, let me get this all in. So with the 10 watt, the jack stand's not really needed, but I still got it in there just in case. Turn my exhaust off. Should get a lot quieter in here.
Cool.
So,
Alex Michaels is commenting, just ordered the Omtech Pronto 40 90 watt machine today. I'll be joining the Laser Club soon. Well, I'm jealous. I'd love to check that one out. It does sound like a really nice medium ground CO2 laser. Definitely better than some of the bottom, cheap end, but not so expensive that you're going to be too broke using it. So yeah, hopefully you get that in soon and let us know how it goes, and we'll help you as best we can.
Joseph saying it was him. That's right. The names are different in here, but he said that was him that was asking me about the sensor earlier. But all it is a one of your typical pen, like the little looks like the ink refill of a ink pen or whatever, the little metal cylinders, thermal sensor. And I'm guessing that has been incorporated now to turn that obnoxious fan off and on as it's needed. And I know me and Steve, ours don't have that. When you power the machine up, it sounds like a hairdryer, and it stays that way until you turn it off. And I'm not exaggerating. There it is. I don't know if y'all.
Yeah, it's come through.
Yeah, you can hear
it out a little bit, but yeah, it's.
Yeah. Now I did fix something that they left off, and because you can't see the frame with this light on a lot of times, I do have me a little flip switch right here on the side. To where I just turn the lights off and on.
I just didn't even install the light. I just left it out.
I like it at times, but not all the time. So I've just put I've got a little one of those switches in there.
I haven't found a time that I needed it, and I knew it would be annoying for other times, so I just left it out.
I started to put one on the darn fans, but I'm afraid I'll run it hot.
Yeah. I did do that.
Because I was like, I started to tell them, hey, send me the parts where I can upgrade mine to a thermal switch. But I was like, yeah, never mind. But yeah, it's a little loud, and that's one reason why I like my Omni 1. It's not as loud, and it's easier to get in and out of. I mean, I like the protective door and everything, but sometimes that door can get a little irritating going up and down and all that. So I mean, it's just whatever. I do also plan on doing some experimentation with this file right here. I plan on using this file also with that orange machine sitting over there, the X Tool one, to see, like which machine I like the results of better. I will tell you the difference between the Omni and the X Tool version is if you're a light burn or go home kind of person, stay away from the X Tool products now, because the X2 F2 Ultra, you're not using light burn with at all. I will say that even the Omni X now, I've got everything working with light burn on it, except for they didn't send a macro or macro for the focal adjustment. So I'm having to wait on that to come back, because I want to do, when I do my review, I want to, talk about it being compatible with light burn as well, because I think that's where CommMarker is going to have it, a bit of a separation between them and some of the other machines on the market is going to be Lightburn compatibility. And I think if they get it to where their autofocus and everything works in Lightburn like it's supposed to, I think that'll be a big deal and something that needs to be a part of the review of the machine as opposed to, others. Now, the 3D crystals, you're going to have to use another software. Lightburn can't do those. But like for the cards that I'm doing, I could do those on the Omni X in Lightburn. And I have had the machine running here this week, and I was running it with Lightburn, but setting the focus with the Com Marker software. I had both softwares open, and I could actually set the focus with the Com Marker software and then run the file with Xtool. And which I was kind of surprised I could do, but it was letting me.
So that's one of the things with the OMTech Solus that I kind of like is it's got the same style of driver as the Omni X. Uses very similar software and uses the same driver, but it has that panel on it, and so I can just tap the focus button right on there, and it sets focus, and then I can just run with it with whatever software I'm working in. So it is kind of nice. It has that. There's not a lot you can do with that touchscreen on there, but that's one of the things that is kind of nice. So
yeah, the only thing that I would run into a problem with that is changing between the lenses, because I've got 3 different lenses I can run on that one. I've got the 150, the 70, and the 250. And every time you change lens, you have to change the distance for your autofocus.
Yeah.
So I would need, like with Lightburn, I'm pretty sure if they can give me the command, I can set it up to, whatever the command is equals, and then put the distance in there and have a button for focus with 70 millimeter, focus with 150, focus with 250. That's the plan, but I'm waiting to hear back from them on what that command I need to set that macro up for is. Because right now, the only way I can set the focus is either manually using a stick or in their software.
Brocus per Creations of Texas says, Steve, thanks for trying to help with the new K70. It turns out it was the baud rate and the device settings. And what does baud rate mean or do in device settings? So yeah, that is something we've run into the past, not as much recently, but I'm glad they were able to catch that. So the baud rate is basically setting the timing of the communication. The larger the number, the faster they are sending the bits. And so you need both sides basically speaking at the same speed, so that it knows the length of the bits to interpret. If they're off, you're going to get these communication errors. It might read some of them, but then when it gets too fast, it's going to go, well, I don't know what you're doing, and basically hang up. So it really kind of goes back to like the serial port days and things like that. Typical USB devices kind of auto handshake on that type of thing. They don't really have to be hard set for that. But since this is doing a serial connection over USB, you still have to have that setting matched. So glad they were able to catch that for you, and I got to remember that is occasionally a thing.
Yeah, we hadn't heard of that one in a while though. I mean,
yeah,
I can see where that one sneaked past you, because that hasn't really been an issue lately. Most of them now are running, was it 10K?
That 19 something. Almost 20K. 19,200.
The last couple that I've connected in Lightburn had just a crazy high, because used to everything was like 4,800, 9,600, 48 and 96, I think was the two big ones for the longest. Yep. And then everything jumped up, like the Rolly and the Algo Laser Alpha went to like 19.2 or whatever it was.
Actually, yeah, now it's all the way up to like 100, 115 something. Yeah, it's kind of just crazy speeds with the bandwidth that's available in modern computers, but
they're just getting faster and faster.
Yep. TTC 1940 says, I've come to believe that the Omni 1 is overhyped in regards to engraving glass, maybe flat glass, but curved glass, it is a nightmare. I'll agree. It is very tricky on curved glass, especially if it's a compound curve. If you've got like a straight tapered glass and you can get it on a rotary, that will work better, but it definitely, that really
it falls out of focus quick.
Yeah, and that's going to mess up your engraving.
Yeah,
that's perfectly focused on the surface.
Yeah, it will fall out of focus, but if you use a chuck or a rotary, then and you got a good flat surface, it rocks. Now you do have to do more than what their default settings. I didn't like their default settings. I went and redid mine, and I run mine a few more passes than what they did to get good results. But I haven't found anything else that does as good on glass. And you can, by using a different lens, change the amount of forgiveness you get with your focus. If you can still have the correct work area, if you can have a big enough work area, because when you change the lens, the larger the work area, the more particular the focus is going to become. Right? Is it? Yeah, because I think I'm right. Anyway, it changes. I'd have to go back and do some testing, but it changes. If you go from a small work area lens to a big work area lens, the focal forgiveness goes up and down. Maybe it's the bigger the work area, the more forgiving the focus is.
Usually the bigger the work area, the wider the spot is, and therefore the longer the focus.
Okay, yeah,
is.
Because the 70 by 70s, that's why they want you to use a 70 by 70 for
the finer spot point, but it comes in and out of focus faster.
Yeah. So the bigger the lens, the more forgiving the focus. Yeah.
But yeah, well, like with people wanting to do like the compound curve, like the wine or the champagne glasses, there's just so many curves there that it'll be frustrating.
Yeah. Well, now I will tell you this though. The Omni does, like I said, there is a little bit of a thing to where the Omni it doesn't have the auto up and down or whatever. But I haven't used it with the UV yet, the F2 UV, but it has that same feature as the F2 does, to where if it's a rounded object, you can have it dive down and engrave.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm thinking that maybe one of the advantages that Xtool ends up taking away with their software is the ability to do that on things without a rotary.
Right, but yeah, I don't think you could combine that and the rotary.
No. I'm just saying. I'm just talking about like to be able to do that instead of having to use a rotary. Because I'm assuming whoever was saying that was trying to do it without a rotary.
Yeah, but that also limits your working area, as I've found on these things.
Yeah, because if you try to go too far around, it's gonna
it loses its capabilities appropriately measure it. But yeah, it's not wrong that the curved glass is a bit of a nightmare with that. Flat glass, it works really well. So
yeah.
Newsfan 77, I finally got air assist for my obsolete D110 watt. Boy, what a difference. No need for paper transfer tape anymore. Yeah, it's a world of difference on if you've been trying to use a low watt dialed laser without an air assist and you can add one to it, it will make a world of difference in not necessarily the cut speed. It'll improve it a little bit, but just the quality without getting that extra burn and the vaporization staining right there. It kind of blows it out of the way. So glad you were able to add that. And doesn't sound like it's obsolete. It just might be older than current lasers. You can still do a lot with 10. I mean, they're still making.
I was gonna say they're still
5
selling
and 6 watt. Yeah, they're still coming out with these, the small ones. So
Adam Stack's latest machines is what, a 7? Comes in like a 3, 7, and a 12 or something like that, I think.
Yeah.
That little Swift or whatever they're trying to sell.
Yep.
So yeah, I mean, you can still do stuff with a 10 watt. It's just if you start trying to cut thicker materials, you're gonna want to step it up. But yeah, 10 watts are still capable machines, especially if you're on a budget. I mean, you can get a 10 watt machine really cheap these days. So, I mean, a 10 watt's not bad. You can get started with it, make your money back with it, and then upgrade if you see fit, or heck, you might get lucky and find a 20 watt on Marketplace or something. There's always avenues to where you can scale up without having to go bankrupt, trying to buy the latest and greatest. Because there's a lot of these machines that are capable, but are relatively, inexpensive. Now, there's some machines, like if the word UV is in the title of the machine, it's not going to be cheap. I mean, they're just those are really expensive machines. They are coming down ever so much now that there's some competition in the market, but they're still expensive. Like for $1 per watt is expensive.
Yeah, they're not. They're definitely have been starting to come down. I mean, Commarker has I don't know if it's a clearance or just a really good sale, but on the original 5-watt Omni One, they're offering that at a pretty good price.
Yeah.
Sculpt Fun has come out with their 5-watt at, was it just under $3,000?
Yeah, I know.
And
X-Laser Lab's coming out with one now. X-Tool's got theirs.
Yeah, so I think the competition is going to help drive both innovation and hopefully price down, but they're not cheap.
Rex, from everything I have been told, it does not. I haven't tested it, but like even their website does not say that it'll work with Lightburn. I will tell you this: the old F1 would work with Lightburn, but it was a very limited compatibility. If you did get it to work with Lightburn, you would be losing so many of the features of the F2. You would probably be better off just to get you an old school F1 and run it instead of paying the extra for the features. So
I'm gonna plug mine in and just see what Lightburn does if it tries to recognize it.
I'm fried. All right. So let's see. I saw another question here. David Pingle is asking what maintenance should be done on the air assist unit on a diode laser. It depends on which one you've got. Some of them have like a little sponge, like air filter on the inlet. Some of the old fish tank ones will have like a little piece that you can pop off, and there's like a little filter element in there. I know X-Tool, a lot of their air assist pumps have a piece of felt like stuff about maybe what the size of a quarter or whatever.
Well, some of the like the S1 is a little bit bigger.
Ones. Yeah, they have the square ones. It's probably like a 1.5 by 1.5, I think. So it depends on which one you have. Some of them there is no service in them, like the Atom Stack stuff. You can take it apart, blow it out with an air hose, and clean it. But for the most part, it's going to run until it don't. Because there's not really any user serviceable parts in a lot of them. But some of them, I don't think I've got one up there. Like I think was it the Rolly? The one Rolly used, I think it had the little sponge in there that you could take out and clean. But I know that the X-Tool ones are pretty good about having that little piece in there that you can remove and clean. Other than that, you run it till it starts getting noisy or till it don't run no more. I can tell you now, you'll know when it's time to throw an Atom Stack one away because it'll sound like a log truck when it goes bad. Klein blew one up, and that thing sounded like a weed eater running. It was bad. What's up, Cody? How are you, sir? Mr. Genie Bits himself. So there he is right there, guys. If you need a bit, go get you some Genie Bits. I hadn't been able to run my CNC lately. I've had it over there just kind of hanging out. I've got some parts. I want to make some like really cool bottle openers. I ordered some of those little blanks for the inserts. So I want to design me a really cool one, but I can't figure out what I want it to look like. I thought about making like a multi-tool, like a Mr. Mom multi-tool is what I'm going to call it. And I'm not going to tell you what it is because it'll be pretty, but it's going to be pretty cool. But it's going to be for every like stay-at-home dad. It's going to be a must-have CNC file. And you'll know it when you see it. Is it working?
Not yet. Rad is asking which rotary comes with the F2 UV. Did it come with one, or is that?
I think it's an add-on. Yeah. It will work from what I've seen. It will work, and I haven't tested it yet. It will work with either one. Like if you've got an RA2 Pro, you can still use it. I know the RA2 Pro still works with the F2. I'm assuming same thing with the F2 Ultra. but the new RA3 would be, a decent investment. But whew, if you already have an RA2, obviously, you want to try to recycle as many of your peripherals as you can. And if you're having good luck with it, then I'd say roll with it. I haven't gotten into that yet. I do have my RA2 Pro, which I've got the accessory kit on my RA2 Pro. And I got me a new cable because I had let my other cable get gone. And so I've got the RA2 Pro as well as the RA3. And those are some of the videos that I plan on doing, hopefully in the next month. But I've got another machine that's supposed to be coming that's pretty anticipated on the market. And if it shows up, then I'm going to be kind of splitting my attention 3 different ways. I've turned down lots of different stuff, but there's a couple of machines coming out that have been very intrigued by that I will be taking. And so I'm going to try to work through some of this stuff. I've got the update from my Reno 45 from Monport. I've got the air assist working great on it. Currently, I have no complaints with it. The way that I've got it set up and the way that I've got it configured is working great, to the point where if I could get a good rotary in that thing, it'd be a contender, because I like the drop bed in it. I like the way that you can lower the bed in that machine. Not having autofocus is a bit of a, I'm kind of used to it and spoiled, but I'm working through it. And it's working. Let me see if I got something to drink over here.
My video seems to be frozen.
Did you seriously just say frozen? Because my water appears to be frozen as well.
Apparently trying to run Lightburn.
Oh, yeah, you are frozen. And with the most peculiar look on your face.
Yeah. Oh, let's see if I can fix this real quick.
Yeah, I was going to get me some water, but my water has turned solid.
There we go. Well,
you said your video was frozen, and I opened the refrigerator and grabbed my water, and I'm like, that's not giving none.
Well, let's all break into song of let it, what do you want to build a snowman?
Yeah, it's going to be a while before I get to drink any of that. So I'm surprised this little old container held up. Pretty good plastic.
Looks like Chuck Peterson got the new P1S on Friday, finding all kinds of things. Yeah, there's a lot of fun stuff that you can just download to use, whether they're like this jig. This was out on Bamboo Studio Maker World to fun stuff. I showed it a couple weeks ago. I was printing out a Star Wars TIE Fighter. There's a whole series. There's the TIE Fighter, the Interceptor, Vader's one, and the Bomber. And so, of course, I had to print out all 4 of those. Now I'm going to have to build a shelf for them. So yeah, that's one of the cool things, especially amongst 3D printing worlds, is that there's a lot of file sharing opportunities out there where you can find just some fun things to do with it, whether they're, like I say, functional or just, decorative, fun tchotchke stuff. So,
I was going to tell you too, when I have a wreck in this chair, it's going to be your fault.
Hey, but at least it's silent.
Dude, sometimes you get bumped and you just keep going. You can't stop. Like I need some brakes on my chair now. Oh.
I should find. Let me.
There we go. Hey y'all, and good evening. Does the X-Tool P2 work in Lightburn? I think the original P2 would. I don't know about the P2S, but the original P2 did.
I think they both do. But the P3, the new P3 does not.
But you do lose some features using the P2 in Lightburn. I will say that. When I ran my P2, I ran it in XCS because it is better. Oh, thank you very much. You're so sweet.
I know, I try.
Look at that. This one ain't even froze.
Look at you.
I know it, man. She loves me. Hey, you do enough grocery shopping and laundry and all that, you know. You get extra credits.
I messed up my.
You tore your computer up?
No, just.
Oh, I finally got me a new computer, by the way. Oh, I told you when I had a wreck, it was going to be your fault. Look at that right there.
Going ritzy with the Alienware.
This is the cheapest one you can buy, though. I mean, I needed something dependable that had video card capabilities and all that. The minimum requirements for the 3D scanner that I'm playing with right now was pretty high. So, yeah. So I had to have an i7 recommended with, did this just power up and me opening it?
Yeah, they probably did.
Yeah. So I had to have an i7 and a video card with at least 4 gigs of onboard RAM. And so this one actually spec'd out good enough to fit. And oh, look. Oh, it's an orange alien head. So this one isn't like, it isn't the most advanced Alienware, but for what I paid for it, it'll have to do. I've got Windows 11, of course. Thank gosh. Let's see what we got here. Intel 7.240, 2500 megahertz, 10 cores, 16 logicals. I've wound up here. It's got only 16 gigs of RAM, but it does have a video card with RAM built on it. So it's got I think it was the NVIDIA 5050. Yeah, RTX 5050. So yeah, it does okay. So far, it's running my 3D prints or 3D scans really well. So, matter of fact, let me show you one of them. Let me get pulled up here.
So for those wondering, this is what Clack's blaming me about: is these wheels on his chair. They replace the typical casters on an office chair or whatnot, and they're much smoother and they're quieter. But they're basically rollerblade wheels.
Yeah, they roll really well. And if you got a little sawdust or just a little, like one of those little pieces that fall out of your laser engraving bed, they'll roll right over top of it. So
they're really nice. So if you got a bad office chair at home, you can upgrade those. I'll drop that link in there if anybody's curious. And then you can hurt yourself too.
See there, look at that. Look at that 3D scan. And yeah, so I scanned that. It's an included little thing that they've got, and I scanned it. It scanned it really well, considering. I mean, I think I'd probably have better clarity on my model that I printed if I had a resin printer instead of, using the filament printer. But it's done a pretty good job. I'll tell you.
Santa's laser engraving is asking if you notice much difference between the OmniX and the F2 UV other than wattage.
Well, I haven't used the 10 watt as much as I did the 5 watt, and that I've used the Omni 1. It's hard to say because so far, I mean, I'm getting what I would expect to get from a 5 watt UV on it, but I haven't used the 10 watt Omni that much yet. But so far, I mean, I will say some of the features that Xtool has added, I could see where some people are going to really want those features. Some of the folks that are, diehard Lightburn folks that like being able to play with frequency and settings a little more may not like the Xtool Studio because there are some adjustments and some things in there that I can't find that I can find in Lightburn, which is probably because they don't want you messing with it. But it's just going to depend. I haven't logged enough time with it yet to say, but I can tell you it's very capable. And if you like Xtool software, it works just like the F2 it works just like the F1 did. I mean, it works. So, but this is the little model they sent with the scanner, like little test piece. And so I scanned this one and I printed this one. So like you can tell I scanned it, but you lose a little detail. But like I said, this I think was printed with like a resin printer. It may not have been. I don't know for sure, but I'm printing it with PLA, so it's a little different. And then I went and printed this one with PLA also. I did this one on a higher setting, but to be honest with you, and it was the same scan. And so one I printed on like normal, and the other one I printed on like high resolution, and I really can't tell the difference. Maybe a little more definition on this one, but not much. So yeah, but so far so good. It's been fun to play with.
Crazzle Boy is asking, would I need to remove the fan from the F1 Ultra if I have it hooked to the AP2? I don't know that you have to, but it's probably going to be more efficient if it's not in the way. Now on the P2, you could take that out. The P3 actually doesn't come with one. They have their inline IF2. But on the S1, you actually can't remove it without physically damaging it, I guess you would say. They don't really give you the option. So anytime you have an inline fan down further that's going to pull the air through, it's best to remove the one in front of it, unless you really have them kind of synchronized and far enough apart that one's not going to be, restricting the other.
So far I've been running my AP2 on auto mode so that it throttles up as needed or whatever, and I haven't had any problems, and it doesn't seem like they're fighting each other or anything. So it's working out pretty well so far. But now I've got it set up in studio, in XCS Studio or Xtool Studio. I've got the AP2 connected to the F2. So whenever I start engraving, the fan will it'll slowly speed up a little bit. It doesn't run all the way like wide open. It just speeds up a little bit. And I've had really good withdrawal as far as the fumes and the smoke. And I haven't had any smell so far, which I've been playing with a lot of wood because I can't figure out how to do the wood embossing that well. And so I've been playing with that and generating a lot of dust and so forth. So my machines are getting really dirty. And I'm really not accomplishing a whole lot because it takes a long time to do those. But yeah, so far the AP2 has worked well. I've got the machine set on that toolbox over there. I've got it connected to my computer through Wi-Fi, and I've got the AP2 sitting on the floor right next to it right there. So that way I don't have to run a hose or anything over there to that machine. So, and then my F1, I don't have my little F1 sitting there right now, but that'll be going on my trailer here before too long, as well as the little smoke purifier, because those are going to be for events. I won't be keeping that. I won't keep it in the shop. If I need it in the shop, I'll just go get it out of the trailer and bring it in here. But typically I store that in my trailer just because that's where it stays.
Rix is asking, is there a big learning curve for the Xtool software versus Lightburn? I'm an old dog, not sure how many new tricks I can learn. The Xtool software is really geared more at beginners. But they've done a pretty good job developing it to have more tools. I would say the biggest frustration I have recently with it is that they've moved some of the menu items and they've hidden some of them until you click on an object that would interact with those, which I can understand from one standpoint, but when you've used their software for a while and then they hide those until they're needed, it can be a little frustrating when trying to find them because you've forgotten to click on an object. So I guess it's going to depend on each person, because I mean, I've had softwares where if I wanted to switch from one CAD to another and all the shortcuts are different and the menus are in different places, it's not that they have different capabilities so much. It's just that things are moved, and that can be in and of itself frustrating. So, but I wouldn't call it difficult. You may just find some frustration in when they try to make it too simple and you're used to having all the options. That's where you might get a little frustrated.
Yeah, it's kind of like when you buy a new car and the wipers and all that stuff are in different places. it's not that it can't do it. It's just a little harder to train yourself to go here to do that thing. Uh, their software is more capable than it's ever been as far as being able to do stuff, but I still do the bulk of my design in Lightburn and export it over. And it's not that their software can't do it. It's just that kind of like I'm just not as well like rehearsed in their software. So a lot of the things I think I can do quicker and faster in Lightburn and then export it. Now I will say this: their image processing is good. Like I've had some really good luck with the way that their software interprets images and communicates it with the machine. It seems to do a little better job of that than I do manually doing it in Lightburn. So I will give them props for that. I mean, if I'm going to do an image and I'm using an X tool machine, I'm going to go ahead and use their software because it seems to, and I guess it's because it was built for that machine specifically, but it seems to do a little better job of getting me the contrast and everything that I need without a whole lot of tinkering. So that's, it has its advantages, and then it has the other things that I agree are kind of clumsy for those of us that are used to Lightburn. It's a little clumsy at times, but I'm getting to where I like it better and better, and I'm learning where some of that stuff's hidden. Like Steve said, they moved some stuff when they went from XCS to this new studio. Some of the stuff is still there, but it's like hiding from you until you need it, and then it jumps up and is like, okay, here I am. And so that takes a little getting used to.
Raj is asking, what is that remote on the F2 with the screen and the orange button? So that came originally, that type of little offline controller came originally with the F1 Ultra. Then they decided to turn their lasers and their buttons into ugly colored orange. And so it gives you some minimal functionality depending on the laser you connect it to. So you can move the focus up and down, you can look at some settings, and you can use it as like a repeat or start and stop button. It's not needed to use it. It can be nice as a just a bit of an offline controller type thing. So like I think you can also load. Now, can you on the F2 load files from it? I know on the F1 Ultra you can, but I plugged mine in from the F1 Ultra to play, but I haven't. I was kind of like, well, this is just hanging there and it's annoying.
Yeah, the only real advantage that one gives you over just the regular little keyboard button is with that one you can actually like raise and lower the machine, but the F2, it has autofocus now, so it's not really necessary. The older one, you had to let it up and down, but this one you just hit the button and it sets itself. Other than seeing like the times and kind of giving you like a preview on the screen of what the job looks like, I don't know that that's any more convenient or needed than just the little button. The little button that comes with the machines, that little button is handy. The one that keeps you from having to like hit the little side button, because the side button will cause the machine to rock at times. I was trying to find the video I did. Okay, here it is right here. All right, number 2 is wrapping up, guys. All right, let me see if I can mute this. So the button is share screen, entire screen. There we go. All right, so this is the remote that they're talking about right here. This is the one that actually comes with the F2 Ultra. And the only difference between this one and the older one is this one's orange, got an orange button. The older one had a green button. You can, like, between jobs, you see how I just double tap that button and the machine started back. Well, you can do that with it, but you can also do that with it with the little keyboard button as well, or the foot pedal. So that particular use point, the cheapest route is to get the little single button. But matter of fact, there's the button and the pedal right there. That's the pedal. That does the same thing. You can step on that pedal twice and it'll start the job. And that's the little button. And that's basically like just one little keyboard button. And so when you're running jobs, you can literally just tap that button twice and it'll start the job again. So that's the biggest, and that's really the only reason I hooked that to it. And I had some people ask me, would it work with it? But those are the cheaper alternatives. Like, I think the little single buttons like $40 on Amazon's
20, 25.
Is it 25? Okay, the pedal must be 40 then.
Yep.
But yeah, those I would recommend getting. I wouldn't beat yourself up trying to get the little touch screen. It looks cool. It's, and all that. But functionality, the only real function that you need if you're doing events and stuff is if you're batching things out, that little button to be able to double tap that button real fast without rocking the machine or moving the machine. That is a really handy feature. Everything else, I don't know that I would, necessarily have to have it for this particular machine. But that's when I was doing those hat patches, and each time I would unload it. Let me see if I can find a word. Okay, there you go. So with any one of the buttons, or even with the button on the side of the machine, when the job completes, all you've got to do is open the lid, put some more material in there, and then double tap the side button, the little keyboard button, or that orange button over there. So you literally just reload your material and close the door and then double tap and you start your next job. So that's the benefit of those buttons, is just a little bit more efficiency when you're batching things out. Other than that, I wouldn't go through a whole lot of trouble to get the one with a screen on it. I would just get the little button. So
Yep.
all right.
Steve Massey's got a question. Is the finished wood from Rugby's comparable to True Flat?
No, it's not. It's apples and oranges. The material from, matter of fact, I grabbed another piece over here. All right, so this is True Flat, 3mm MDF with like a coating on the outside of it that makes it look like real wood. All right, this is the stuff from Rugby's. This is actual plywood with a veneer on it, and it's UV clear coated or whatever. One is 3mm thick. The other one is close to 5mm thick. This is MDF. This is plywood. So yeah, they're nothing like, they're not the same. Now I will say they probably cut at about the same speed in most machines because this MDF's a little stubborn at times. But it's not the same material. Like I said, one is layers on top of layers with glue, and then the other is MDF, which is basically wood-ish material, just slap full of glue. So MDF can be, although MDF can be a little more stubborn to cut, MDF can also be a lot more stable because it has no grain. Grain is what makes your wood warp one way or the other typically. And with MDF, it's just comprised of glue and sawdust with no actual grain. So typically it's not going to like dry and twist or anything because there's no grain. Like it's just random pieces of dust. But yeah, that's True Flat right there. I am going to wreck. I'm telling you, need an airbag. You can give me an airbag for a chair.
You need to learn how to drive.
I need a new chair. I think this one's like, I think I wore this one out. It squeaks. I put oil and grease and everything else on it. It still squeaks.
Let's see. I'm trying to get a little cut up here.
You got Lightburn open still? There's
I have an art folder saved in my computer.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, just so happens. Just so happens, sir. Oh, let me swap them screens around. So I done got it set up to go to that screen. Oh my gosh. Too many screens. All right. So this is where I was doing my cards a while ago. So I'm going to hit the save button real quick. All right. So art libraries over here. The way I do mine is all of my art libraries are actually saved on a network server or network drive. So if you have an art library, what you got to do is, wait a minute, that comment's in the way. Hang on. You got to go down here to where it says load. In my situation, I have to go to this network drive right here, and then I have to go to libraries, and then I have all of these little libraries right here. So we'll load one that I don't have loaded. Let's see what we got. Sculpt Fun iCube. I don't have that one loaded, so we'll load that one right quick. So I'm going to click on the Sculpt Fun iCube art library and hit open. All right, now you're just going to populate in here. And so now I have all of these Sculpt Fun library parts. These are for the iCube, and these are just little parts for it. So now I got the library in there, and I can do whatever parts I need or whatever. When I get done with it, if like I don't want to use it no more, I go over here to Sculpt Fun iCube, I select it, and then hit unload, and it unloads it. So anything, like I do a lot of my jig kits now for different machines. Like this is my F1 Ultra system. I'll click on that. And so now I've got like the files for my F1 Ultra are in here. And so I can do the different, like I said, this was my RA2 Pro jig kit for the Ultra. And so once I get through using those, again, I can go over here to the, which I actually might need that one. So I'm gonna leave that one in there. But like, see the We Create Lumos one right here. When I get through using that, I can unload it and get it out of the way. So right now I'm not using my May events coins thing, so I can unload that one. So
where was their comment again? Because I'm not sure they were talking about art libraries, but loading files in, importing files.
It says right here, if I go to load an art library, I can load a single file at a time, but I can't get it to load the entire
That's
folder.
Different comment than the first one you put up there, but
yeah. Well, that one there. That when I have an art library folder saved, when I open or import folder says it has no files. And
you're throwing library in there on that one. I didn't see the other part.
It says art folder. Yeah, I guess my brain put library, but it says I have an art folder saved on my computer when I go into Lightburn, and then the next one said art library. So there was like 2 or 3, and I think there was one more.
I think they're trying to import the folder of files into a library, if I'm reading those 2 comments right.
A folder of files into an art library. We got to do that manually. So if you're trying to put something into an art library, you have to like from here, and then you can do import graphic to library and name it and pull it over into there, which I don't want to pull that in my art library. But if I didn't answer your question, you can maybe word it differently and maybe we can answer it. But that was how I got it, because there was a total of 3 different comments, I think it was.
Radu's commenting $800 for the AP2. Ouch. Did you also have used the desktop filter? Yeah, I know that's expensive for it, but if you're not going to vent outside, that's about the cheapest you're going to pay to have anything that reasonably works well. And even then, I mean, on my S1 is overwhelmed at times, depending on what I'm cutting. So filtering out the particulate and the VOCs and everything, it takes a lot of airflow, a lot of filter medium to make that happen. So it's not cheap to do that.
Yeah. I'm be honest with you. I mean, I've used other ones, but for anything over an F1 size machine, I haven't. The X-Tool desktop one works with the F1 so far, but even that thing's on borrowed time because it fills up. It's going to fill up eventually. Mine's already pretty nasty. The AP2 is the only one I've had that I could run it for any length of time and not just decide not to use it. So.
Yep.
Now, Chris, it ain't that. I'm telling you, it is just, when he said they're rollerblade wheels with bearings, it rolls really good on this asphalt, on this concrete. Because like I can shove off and roll all the way to the other side of the shop, no problem. It's wild. My other ones had gotten so bad that I had to like shove myself, and sometimes they'd turn, sometimes they wouldn't, and they were wearing down. And I put these on here, and it is crazy how fast they move.
Yeah. But they are nice. They're nice on carpeted areas too. They don't get as stuck as much. So, trying to get caught up here again. J Cloudfather is asking, "Cheers, mates. What are your thoughts on Millmage?" And Jack in the shop, I think, or who was it? No, Chris Gallagher put a comment on there. It's still in early development, and so that's kind of going back to our earlier conversation about Lightburn versus Xtool Studio. Well, if you compared Lightburn to the original, what was it, laser box that Xtool had? It was really frustrating to go from a qualified application, a mature developed application for CNC to Millmage. And they're I trust Lightburn software is going to continue to develop it and make it better. But right now it covers the basics, but not enough that it makes me want to use it over VCarve or some of the others. So I haven't spent a lot of time working with it just because it's one of those things where when you want to get a job done, you go to the thing you're comfortable with that you know is going to work, versus working through something new. Now, if I felt it had more capabilities, I might spend more time to learn it now. But until it's more, developed, I think I'm going to just kind of keep an ear on it, but I don't use it too heavily.
No, I hadn't even downloaded it. It's going to take a lot to get me off of Vectric. Chris is saying that, Dave, I had a thought about the calibration on the 10 watt. Is the driver working in inches when it should be in millimeters? I highly doubt it because every facet of this machine came from China. And no, it's the same software. Everything's in millimeters. I don't know exactly what the problem is, but I'm pretty sure that's not it. It's I got it to work in Lightburn. It's just not wanting to work in their software right now. And it's probably because some of the software is like the machines that we have are early machines, and a lot of times they'll send you stuff that's made for the current machines, and then they'll be like, "Oh, wait a minute, you've got like XY machine number 2 or whatever. You've got to have this." And so I can't say that the new ones that are coming out are going to have that problem, but that's one of the things you deal with when you get machines like as soon as they come out or before they come out.
Yeah.
And William, I see you keep posting this, but I'm going to be honest with you. If you start talking about cutting in inert environments, I don't know that a diode laser is going to be what you want to be using. You start pumping. I mean, because at this point, if you're using argon or something like that to try to to try to like keep impurities and keep other things out of the cut, you're probably in a more expensive genre than hobby diode lasers at that point. When you start using like a gas to cover the burn or whatever, I think you've moved into more of an industrial model at that point, because your expendable gases at that point are going to outweigh the material that you're cutting as far as cost.
Yeah. Tony's asking, Steve, what modifications did you do to your very first CO2? So that was about 10 years ago. I got a 60 watt, basically like a generic OhmTech laser. I bought it off of eBay, actually. And so my first modification to it was the air assist. It came with just a janky, I mean, it was a pretty good size pump, and it moved more air than some of the ones you see on the diodes and such. But again, it was just an air pump that wasn't controllable. I couldn't adjust it. And so I did upgrade that to, using an air compressor and eventually a relay. And then, of course, I swapped out the exhaust system for more of an inline fan setup and such. And then I started having some issues with my tube, and part of that was because I wasn't using a sealed chilling system. I had actually used a aquarium chiller that used a aquarium pump in a 5-gallon pail, and it pumped it through.
You pumping spiders through your tube,
which worked, but it wasn't sealed, and it allowed impurities in there, and I eventually had some algae and other things growing in there. And then I got it cleaned out, but it just wasn't running as good as it should. So I did upgrade the tube, and when I replaced it with a 60-watt tube, which is what I felt I had, the tube was longer, and I had to build a box on the outside. And that's when I realized the original tube was actually a 50-watt tube provided with a 60-watt power supply. And this is where some of the misnomers of like, oh, you never want to run a CO2 at 100% power. While it is true you're going to do more damage faster to it at higher speeds, a lot of that's because a lot of these cheap, eBay and whatnot, or Chinese lasers were coming mismatched. And just by running a 60-watt power supply to a 50-watt tube, you're overdriving the thing, and you are going to kill that thing fast. Now, if it's balanced properly, and the power supply is not going to let the tube drive at a milliamp rating higher than what it's rated for, then yes, you can run it at 100%. Is it going to do more damage to it? Possibly, but how much damage are you going to do cutting through more efficiently versus cutting that power down and running it twice as long for the same job? Somewhere in the middle of there is that balance of maybe 75, 80% gets you the most efficient, quickest burn without overdriving it. And that last 10 to 20% might not get you any more speed. It's a balance there. But a lot of that whole, you can't run CO2s at 100%, came from those mismatched machines that they were selling as a 60-watt machine, which, yes, it's capable of that, but it was overdriving the tube in there. So other than that, it was more just minor things, swapping out lenses and mirrors, things like that. I didn't do a lot of deep mods to that machine, but just more the critical creature comfort things of quality air assist and air extraction for the exhaust.
Yeah, what have you decided on the Reno 45? Because I've been trying to decide because it doesn't have a milliamp meter that I can find unless it's hidden somewhere that I haven't looked.
It doesn't.
Running mine at 75%, and it seems to be doing fine. But
well, in my I had dug up a few different manuals, and I even took. Usually, what they'll do is they'll put on the tube the rating, and now I've seen this on a number of manufacturers recently where they don't necessarily put the max agreed power rating on there, which is really frustrating. But in multiple documentations and reaching out to Monport themselves, I've settled on 65 to 70% is really the true 100% power at the milliamp rating for the Reno 45 Pro. So that's, I generally run mine no higher than 65.
Yeah, I've been running it at 75, and it seems to be, it's working, but I'm not used to having a 45 watt. I'm used to having a 55 watt. So running a 45 watt at 75%, you're down there to like a 30 watt diode cutting capability at that point, it seems like. So it's just, I was curious if you had dug up anything, because I was afraid to run it at 100 until I found out, because I just didn't know. It's doing a good job, and I think I'm actually getting some of my better cutting results in the lower power ranges, as far as like getting clean, no overburn and all that. So that's where I've been going with it. So I was just kind of curious. Jerry Richmond says he printed out my bamboo or my Galvo exhaust tubes that he bought off of Etsy, and they work good. No more smells or unwanted fumes. Cool. Yeah, I use them, and that's what I've got set up. I don't know if you can see that. You can see the edge of the cone right there. But that's what I've been running on these business cards and everything. I've got that 4-inch exhaust ran to that flange right there, and I've got that thing set to where it's like right there at the edge of where the cards are, and I can't smell that anodized fume, because those anodized cards do give off a little bit of a pungent chemical smell. And so that 4-inch fan, I've got my little remote over here. I'll reach over and I'll put that fan on low, and no more smells. So works out really good for me.
I need to go back and amend my last thing. I did add in, when I was swapping out the tube, I did add in a milliamp meter so that I could dial in my settings on. So that on my original laser, it didn't come with one. So I did add one of those in. And so, yeah, a lot of them have the digital display either on the power supply, or they'll bring another one out, or they have like the analog meter. if your CO2 laser doesn't have one of those, I'd strongly recommend looking into how to add one of those. So that way you can be a lot more confident that you're driving it at the power that it, no more than the power that it's rated at. Yeah, and all the best marketing. Once you get algae in any aquarium or equipment, it's hard to kill as it keeps coming back. You can control it, but you can't kill it. Yeah. And so that's one of the things I recommend people, when you're putting your chiller in, get some algicide, just drop a little bit in there. You can also drop just a little bit of bleach in there, because, you're not trying to maintain fish or anything in there. You're trying to control it's not going to hurt the tube.
Goldfish in your chiller.
Yeah. Those things will help. But yeah, once you kind of get that infestation, it's kind of game over. You got to replace some stuff. So, yeah. And Chris kind of echoes that milliamp is king when determining what power you can run a CO2 at. And that's where I try to look at that on any new laser I get, on the label, what are its specs rated at, and try to make sure that I can gauge it from there. It's really frustrating when you don't have that.
Yeah, that was one of the things, because like my OhmTech has one. It's kind of in the back behind the gantry, but you can actually run a test cut and use the little knob in the back to set the milliamp on it. But I could not find one on that Reno, and I looked everywhere. And I'm like, okay, well, we'll just do this. So, but so far, I like the little machine, though. You were right; it's not bad.
Yeah, it's a very nice budget benchtop. It doesn't have the biggest cutting area, but yeah. What is it? It's like 16 by 12.
Yeah.
You can do a lot with that. If you're used to a diode laser, it's just a little bit shorter. But it's great. It'd be a great add-on to a diode to be able to do a lot of acrylics without any hassle. So yeah, it's still set up and running down in my basement workshop. So
cool. Just Alan Jones is saying, would you use a diode or CN2 for a deep engraving in wood for small text, where CNC may not be the best option? I'm looking possibly paint filling or epoxy fill. Either way, to be honest with you, with enough power, either machine is capable of getting you down deep enough to pour it with epoxy and have enough, to sand it over and all that. I've done some really deep engraves with the 40-watt machines. And even if you just drop your focus a couple of millimeters, and you can literally do 2-3 millimeter deep engraves on most woods pretty easy with a 40-watt machine. That's going to take you a little while, and it's going to be dirty. It's going to be dusty, but you can do it.
Well, and given the choice, I would opt for the CO2. It's going to be more efficient at it. Mm-hmm. But that, like you say, you can do it with either one, but the CO2 is going to be a more efficient burn. It's going to be probably less of a sintering. So if you're actually doing the color filling and such, you'll probably have an easier time with lack of soot from the CO2. And it's kind of the inverse problem when you're trying to do just a natural engrave on some woods with the CO2. The CO2 is leaving, like, it's ablating the material, but it's just leaving it just nice little caramelization. It's not really like scorching the surface as much. And so you can have the inverse problem when you're not going to backfill it with something.
Yeah. Bill Henson saying, are you going to reach to Longer and try to get the new Longer dual print printer? No, I don't ever really reach out to companies. They reach out to me, and Longer has reached out to me, and they wanted to do some stuff with it, and then they wanted to come hang out over here and use the machine in the shop, and like do some videos and stuff. But I don't got nowhere to put a UV. Like I don't got nowhere to put that. I don't do those right now. If I had more room, if I had a place, maybe I wouldn't mind having a UV printer. But yeah, they tried talking me into some stuff, but like right now is not the time for me to be trying to conquer something like that. Me and Brandy, especially with Christmas coming up, her trying to put the Christmas tree up in the house, we are packed. Like we have no more room. But they reached out to me about that machine. I think I've had 2 companies trying to talk me into coming to China. And then I've had 2 other companies try to talk me and let them come here. And I can't remember which ones were which. But I'm pretty sure
X Laser Lab was the other one that I think they both, but they wanted to come visit our places and our studios.
Yeah, my studio. And I'm like, me and a couple of people in here, and it's crowded. But yeah, so I don't think I'm going to be participating in that. Not likely. Unless they just send it without me saying send it, because I told them that I don't know that now's the time for me to be trying to get into that. That seems like more of a spring project to me. So yeah, not right now, not that I know of, because I just ain't gonna know where to put it, and I'm out of space. I have been cleaning up. I have been giving stuff away. Like I'm out of room.
Speaking of printers, the one that I'm not necessarily wanting it, but the one that kind of caught my eye is Omtech is coming out with a DTF transfer film printer. And so I've done a number of those with a few companies, and I usually just outsource those because the volume isn't there yet for me to need one of those to use full time. But a lot of the newer ones, both in the UV printers and in the DTF ones, they're coming with more of the self-maintenance on the inks and such, which is nice for the more occasional users. And so, there are a lot of situations where someone's like, oh, I'd love to have just a shirt or a hat that says this, but they don't want to order that many. And so most screen printing shops and other places are going to be like, nah, thanks. And or you're going to pay quite a bit for a one-off. So it is if you're into product customization and you're looking into ways to branch out, some of that apparel stuff, you might be already doing the laser engraved leather patches on hats. You may want to look at DTF transfers, because those can be done fairly easy with just a heat press and those transfers. So, and you don't necessarily need to buy a printer. You can outsource that. There are places online you can order gang sheets of transfers, and it just takes it's going to take you a little bit longer to turn around the product is all. So
yeah, well, I have already been told, because I'm plugged in pretty good with the local makers around here, and I've already been told that in the event that there is a DTF or a direct to garment or any kind of t-shirt making machine that I need to put somewhere for testing and run it for a while and have it torture tested, I've got several people volunteered for that. I even have one last week tell me that if anybody reached out to me about a cake, cookie, or cupcake printer, they would be willing to take it.
I had someone, it was about this time last year, someone I got one of those in the email. It was basically kind of like the UV printer. You'd put the product in and it would just over it. Yep.
Yeah, apparently it's a thing. Apparently there's like it's almost like a regular, like what was them old printers that we used to have that took the inks? It just uses food coloring, and you just put your cupcakes or your cookies in there and print to them. And she's like, if somebody offers you one of those, bring it to my place. You just leave it with me for a few days, come back, make the video, and I'll help you do the video. And she's like, because that's what she does, is custom cookies and stuff.
Yeah.
And I know her because, like, she uses like different transparencies and stuff like that, and like a little almost like a little air sprayer like me and you's got, but she'll use like a stencil and like spray cookies and cupcakes and stuff like that with food coloring or whatever. Mm-hmm. And she's like, if somebody offers you one, take it. I'll help you with the video and I'll provide all the blanks that you need and all that. And I'm like, hey, I will take you up on that, because I have nowhere to keep something like that. I don't cook cookies, but she does. She runs a custom cake and cookie business. And so she's like, I really would like to have one of those. I'm like, well, if they ask.
Yeah.
Jep says, I enjoyed the Clack Shack tour, but I noticed the F2 UV. I'm curious about that machine. I did a little quick walk around with it when I first got it. this week, because I've been having to work through backlog, because X Tool reached out to me. Well, y'all know the story with X Tool. Okay, so like what was it? Almost a year ago when they redid their whole marketing strategy partnership plan. They redid everything. And there were some things that we couldn't come to agreement on. And me and Steve did. We wound up like passing on some of the offers that they had made. And so we were pretty much, we were still communicating with them, but we weren't really heavily involved in any of their campaigns. Well, then they reached out and they're like, hey, we want to send you the F2. And so I was like, okay, as long as I don't got to revisit this whole conversation that we'd already had. And they didn't make me sign anything, didn't ask for anything or whatever. And so then right behind that, I got an email from a different email address about the F2 Ultra. And so I'm like, yeah, okay, sure, whatever. And the machine just showed up. So I really didn't know. I didn't honestly think that the F2 Ultra was going to show up, but it did. And so I had to stick it in the spot in between some of the other machines. But the way I do it is first come, first serve. And so I'm having to work through the backlog of machine stuff to get back to it. So hopefully this week I'm going to be wrapping up with my upgrades to my Reno 45 and my second, what I think about it after running it for a few weeks video. And then I'm going to be off to the F2 Ultra UV because I've been using the little F2. I've done quite a bit with it, and it's just as awesome as the F1 was, but better. So I'm ready to start playing with that F2 Ultra now. So I'm going to try to get to that this week.
The F2 UV.
Yeah, F2 UV. Why don't they
name too many lasers F2, and it's you got to be very clear on which one. Billy Goat is asking, is it safe to run the CO2 laser with RV antifreeze? I put it in there instead of the water that was in it since it's unheated space in Ohio. RV antifreeze, yes. You want that, basically pure or distilled water and propylene glycol. The regular antifreeze has corrosive materials and conductive materials in it. So you don't want to put just regular antifreeze in there, but actual stuff that's meant for, there you go. For winterizing the actual drinking water system in a motorhome and such. So if you're using that, yes, you should be fine running that through there. I actually have left it in my system year round on my original laser. And a lot of people will say exchange it every so many months. I've tried that a couple times, and I feel like I'm more at risk of introducing contaminants by cracking the seal on that system and swapping things out, draining and refilling it than just leaving it. So
yeah, this says the ingredients are ethyl alcohol and glycerin and denaturants and dye. So this is the exact stuff I put in the Reno. I filled it up with a gallon of this, and so it's kind of cool because the hoses are pink, when it's running. Yeah. You can see this. You can't see water because water's clear, but this you can see the pink.
Yeah. Let's see. I don't know. This might be the middle of a conversation, but Jack in the Chop says no tree till after Turkey Day.
I'm not fighting that fight, Jack. 30-something years. Put it up whenever you get ready.
I'll give people a pass this year because Thanksgiving here in the U.S. is so late, and depending on, there's a lot. The other part of it is I feel like there's two types of people: people who put the tree up super early, and then people who take the tree down the Christmas afternoon. The kids are done opening the presents. They're like, all right, let's put Christmas away. The season goes longer than that. You can leave it up later, but as long as you're not putting up the tree before Halloween, all right.
Yeah, North Alabama Smoke says, how do I tighten up the head on my D1 Pro? The carriage is allowing the head to lean forward. And it's probably going to be the little bolt that's you got to take the module off to get to it. There's a bolt in there that will work itself loose.
You get it it's on the back of the
or
on the front of the plate mounting onto the gantry, but you got to take the module off to get at it.
Yeah, and it wouldn't hurt. Put a couple of drops of Loctite on it, or some fingernail polish if you got it when you tighten it back up, because it will come loose. And if it comes loose just right, you can't get the module off because it like hits. And I had that happen with mine.
You got Tripod's Garage here, so nice to see you here.
Up,
if you're not familiar with him, he's got a really cool channel with a lot of similar things. Having fun making in his garage, so definitely check him out as well.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I think what was the last one I was over there for was, I think it was his 10 watt. He just did his 10 watt review on the Omni.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if I got all the way through it because I you know how I am. I'll put my little earbuds in right here. I'll either put my earbuds, my little ISO earbuds, or my headset on, and I'll be working in the shop. And a lot of times, stuff gets paused or I get busy. But yeah, because I try to partake of other people's videos instead of just Steve. I get tired of watching Steve stuff all the
time. So I try to walk a line on that. I want to see what other people are doing, and I want to kind of see if they're finding the same things. But I also want to be careful if I'm reviewing the same product. I don't want it to necessarily give me, preconceived notions that I will then subconsciously just validate versus looking at it afterwards and go, okay, we kind of found the same thing, but yeah.
Boomer saying, is the camera on the Atom Stack Atelier as good as the camera on the X-Tool F2? You both seem to really like the camera on the F2. That's depending on what your definition of as good as is. The one on the X-Tool is a 50 megapixel camera, which is insane. But I think the Atelier camera is as effective for placement as well as a camera should be. It might have a little more variation because it is a manual focusing machine, but either one is effective for what it's designed to be used for.
Well, yeah, I would say the quality of the image on the F2 is much better between the lighting and the image. But you got to remember, you're talking about a 4-inch square working area. It's going to be hard for it to be that far off. So on these smaller lasers, they kind of get the easy button for being fairly accurate because it's not as wide of an area that it's trying to cover. So the aberrations from the lenses aren't going to have as much of effect that they've got to try to correct through alignment and such. But I will say I did run I got to do more playing with this. I got to hook the Atelier back up to Lightburn and kind of finish working through some of that, because when you do that calibration in there with the little dot card, it does work pretty well. It was pretty accurate, but yeah, I would say if you're looking for a fairly accurate alignment, both of them are going to be pretty good, but I like the image coming out of the F2 better.
Oh yeah, it's definitely got better lighting and everything. So
yeah, and it's just not as grainy. So
yeah, but like I said, it is, like you said, a little better because the work area is really small. So as long as you focus it, both cameras are going to be really accurate as far as cameras goes in Lightburn.
So Jeffrey Stone's asking, on a CO2, if I set max power to 60% in the control panel on the machine and then set it 100% in Lightburn, does that mean I'm getting 60% output or 100% on the tube? May have asked before. So if you go into the actual controller of the laser and set a max power at a percentage, that is going to be its maximum power that it will operate at. So then in Lightburn, yes, it is basically sending a percentage of the power to the control panel. And so if you put 100% in Lightburn, the laser's going to say, okay, 100% is actually this rating, which you've turned down to 60%. And that actually will give you more granularity. So if you say, okay, just mentally 65% is my maximum power, now you only have 65 degrees of, if you're only going with solid numbers, you can get into decimals and whatnot, but you only have 65 degrees of granularity. Whereas if you have it at 100%, but you have your controller set to its maximum. Now you still have those 100 degrees of change. So does that really matter a whole lot? Probably not, depending on the speeds that you're working at. But if it's set up right, then yeah, your light burn shouldn't be able to over control and tell the laser to go harder than you've set its controller to top out at.
Yeah, because light burn's just sending a signal to the controller saying, hey, give it 100%. And if you've already told the controller, hey, you can't go over this percent, then that you're going to be running 100% of 60%, which is technically 60%. So it's kind of like the old throttle on your car. It doesn't matter where the pedal stops or starts. It's what is where the gas is moved to on the carburetor, so to speak. But that's one thing I've got to figure out about the Reno is I haven't found where it's throttled anywhere. The controller doesn't have a percentage set or anything like that I can find. So I've been playing it safe and running it on 65. Was it 75? Is the most I've run it up to.
Yeah, and that was one thing. Like when I was playing around with the M40, you could that you had that dial, and so it's like, okay, if I'm going to set my dial to where I want the power rating of the laser to top out at, and then in the software I'm going to say go from 10 to 100%. I needed to clarify to people, set your milliamp rating on the laser first as its top before running 100%, because if you have that wide open and you tell the software, say send it wide open, then you could run the risk of overdriving that.
Yeah. Yep. Oh, look there. Oh, yeah. Frigate Custom says, love the content from both of you. Been watching for quite some time. I've been doing enough in the last year with my CNC and lasers. I finally decided to start my own channel. Keep it up. Cool. Yeah, hey, I'm going to go ahead and tell you, it is fun, but take it from me. Do it because you like it. If you're doing it to try to be the next big thing, it's going to make it a bumpy road. And I've seen a lot of people lately that are really, really stressing because YouTube has some of the stuff is kind of, it's just doing weird stuff and people aren't necessarily happy with the results. Me personally, I'm retired, so I have my income per se. This is just kind of substitute, filling the gap, insurance, money and all that kind of stuff. But do it because you love it. Don't be fretting trying to be the next Mr. Beast or anything, because it's slow. My other channel has really humbled me when it comes to YouTube and appreciating how lucky I got the first go around, because I've started this other channel and I'm actually having to hustle with that one. And it's to see how slow it grows. It's like, I don't remember it being this slow last time. But last time I wasn't looking at it's like I wasn't looking at the map last time. Like last time I had no destination. You know what I mean? I was just having fun. This time I actually have a destination set for that channel. And so it's kind of like, are we there yet? Are we there yet? Are we there yet? It makes a difference when you have that expectation, I think. So,
well, and be it YouTube or anything, I mean, if you need to diversify. If you're counting on one key thing to be your income and survive on that, you're gambling it, and so that's why anybody with any sort of business, it's good to start utilizing social media. It can help bolster your business, and it can add some passive income or an additional vein. But even the Mr. Beast of the world, he's branched out with his candy bars and his restaurant stuff and other things, and so yeah, if you're running a business and you want to add some social media, you want to add some YouTube, it's great. But as Clack said, keep it fun and keep it, don't necessarily drop everything else and go full in on it, thinking it's going to be, the best thing to replace everything. It should augment and enhance each other. So.
Yeah, Chris is saying niche equals faster channel growth. And I'm going to be honest with you, after the past 3 or 4 months of doing what I've been doing, I would disagree to an extent. The bigger audience your thing has, the faster it is to get what you need, is what I'm finding. Because I've heard the same things y'all have heard, but the way that YouTube is distributing content now, I don't think that's necessarily true. because the other channel that I've started, because it's not about lasers, it's not about CNCs, it's growing faster than I'd anticipated. Like some of the views and some of the stuff that is out there. So I mean, it depends. It depends on your style. It depends on how you present things. It's blown my mind to see some of the stuff that I've seen, because I got friends that have farming channels, and those farming channels are massive. Like their viewership is massive, but it's because so many people can relate to that, as opposed to like what we do with the lasers and CNCs. There's a smaller amount of people that's going to relate to a CNC or a laser than if I did a video on being retired at 50. If I did a video on being retired at 50, that audience is massive that might be interested. So it's different. It is definitely different. But I think with the AI studying everybody's video selections now and handing videos out that way instead of doing it by subscriptions like they used to, I think that's what's hurting a lot of people, is they're playing a new game by the old rules.
Yeah, I've actually seen a lot more of those videos of people near or at retirement saying, "Oh, you should start a YouTube channel." And some of them are just like they're doing like the side gig thing. They're doing the contract work, driving for Amazon or Uber or whatever, and they'll make some content out of that. And yeah, so it's I don't know. It's interesting to see the flood of content being created, but yeah, it's how it's being driven to people is. I couldn't tell you why half the things show up on my feed, but
yeah,
it apparently thinks I've got some weird interests as far as everything from lasers and CNCs to weird lifestyle things. From it's probably because like I like to support other people, and so
I think a lot of it is going to be targeting the traffic from your IP address.
Well, it's that, and it's more so these things that are
constantly
listening to us.
Yeah, and it listens to you, and so it knows what you're interested in.
Because it's given me recommendations of YouTube videos based on shows my wife's watching.
Yeah, well, it does. What they do too is they YouTube and Google monitors your traffic coming from your IP address, and so anybody in your house that's looking for something through Google from that IP address, it's going to get like all of it's going to get like clumped together. Yeah. And because like today, me and Brandy were sitting in there talking about something, and it was something that neither one of us have ever talked about before, and she picked her phone up and opened up Facebook, and boom, there it was. And she's like, oh my gosh. I'm like, they're listening. They're always listening. And so the way that YouTube's handing out content now is definitely driving things different. And there's a lot of guys I've been watching because I watch a lot of other genres and listen to stuff while I'm working, because there's only so many laser channels out there, CNC channels. So I listen to everything from travel videos to, how to do this, how to do that. And I'm telling you, the way that Google is selecting what to show people nowadays is so much different than it was when I started, that if you haven't twisted, if you haven't modified the way you're doing business, it's hurting you right now. And I look at, because I have memberships to where I can look at stats for all kinds of different channels, and it's hurting a lot of people. I mean, it's hurt me. My revenue's down. My views are down from last year. My growth has went down this year from last year, and it's you have to pivot. If you don't pivot, you're gonna fall down. So,
well, I'm glad that this is still very much it's not my primary income. It started out of me having fun with model airplanes and then lasers and such. And so I'm kind of with tripod here. I try to do what interests me, and I try not, I mean, the problem is we're so trained to have that, you want the video to do well. You want the post to get likes, we get that endorphins and that's the kind of the feedback. And so it's nice to kind of have that, well, it tanked, oh well, attitude versus oh shoot, that tanked, I spent so much time and now I'm not making the money on it and whatnot. So I'm glad I'm not in that position where I have to run it strictly as a business. It gives me a little more flexibility. And some of it's like this week, I didn't get a video out until like literally half an hour before this live stream this whole week. Just a number of things happen at work and other things. And there are just some days I come home and I just got to shut down. I got to, chill with the family or, whatever. It's movie night or something. And so I'm glad I don't have to just 100% push hard on it, because I've done that in the past and it has burned me out on things. So
yeah, well, and I have that too, because mine started out, like I said, this is my hobby. I was diagnosed freaking hyperactivity disorder or whatever they called it back in the 80s. And I was a Ritalin baby, should have been. My mom and daddy wouldn't give it to me. But so I'm hyperactive, and this was just my outlet. This was my come out here, have fun. I had a little for a while there. I had some demons I was battling with from the job. And this was like my way of just clearing my brain. Like when I was thinking about making things, when I was working with my hands, like everything just went away. And so I enjoyed it. And then I started sharing it through videos, and then it just kept growing and growing and growing. And now, yes, I have used the money to enable me to be able to retire, but I've got enough like customers and enough work coming through here that I don't got to make no money off of this, but I enjoy it. I enjoy sharing with you guys. I enjoy the community we've built. I enjoy hanging out with this, Sasquatch looking dude once a week. I mean, it's fun. I enjoy it. I enjoyed it so much that I started the other channel. And so that's kind of where you see me doing like my little propane refilling station that I did the video on. It's got a whopping 468 views. But that thing's just cool as crap, I mean, I've been throwing those little containers away and buying new ones, and now I can refill them. So, I enjoy doing it. I enjoy making the videos. I enjoy puzzles. I've always been a puzzle kind of guy, like doing crossword puzzles and word finds and stuff like that. And I like trying to figure out what makes the videos tick, what makes the audience tick. What should I it's the thrill of the hunt more so than the ending result. I enjoy the hunt. And so that's part of my thing is I sit and look at analytics, and I dig through layers on top of layers of analytics, trying to figure out little things and so forth and so on. And it's fun. That to me is about as much fun as making the videos. And that's one reason why my videos are so raw, like not over edited or anything like that. I do like my artistic lighting and stuff though. So I do get into that a little bit. That and it hides the dust.
be like me. I've got my dust collector over there, right? And I can move the flex hose from tool to tool too. Well, I'd put it on my bandsaw to do some resawing on some wood, and then I forgot to put it back on my table saw. And I'm just so used to it 90% of the time living on my table saw. And I was running it for a few days. I'm like, why is it so much dustier in here recently? And then I realized, I have a small rack that my benchtop jointer sits on, and it goes under my outfeed table. I looked at that. I'm like, whoa, that is filled. Oh, oops.
Yeah. So, I've had that happen.
So keeping the dust down, there was no hiding that dust.
Yeah, Greg's saying, I think hobby channels are tougher channels to grow, but I haven't kept up with mine since I work so much, but I'm starting to semi-retire. Yeah, and like I said, and I'm no guru or anything, but I will say this. If you're trying to grow a channel, the bigger the possible audience, the better the chances. So, yes, years ago when search history was all Google used to target people with video, it was subscriptions and search history. And then they tried later on to match you up with other channels that were kind of like the channel that you had just got through watching. But with all the AI and all the different algorithms and stuff that they have, it's changed. You can have a channel that has 10 subscribers put out a video and it blow away a channel that has 200,000 subscribers. My little old channel, my other channel with 4.62 thousand subscribers, there's a couple. I put the same video out about my little robot vacuum. I put it on both channels, and this is all natural. I didn't do anything. I didn't promote it. Nobody promoted it. Like all natural. The same video. All I did was change a couple of clips in it and change the thumbnail. And the thumbnails looked really, really similar. The video that I put out on my channel that had just over 1,000 subscribers got 7,600 views. The one that I put out on the Clack Shack channel with, at the time, 40,000 subscribers got like 1,200 views. So it's easier now to grow a channel, I think, than it has been in the past, because you don't have to be like, you're not like hidden over in the corner as bad as you used to be, because it's the algorithm's targeting people so much different now. But that's just my opinion. I'm not a guru or anything. I ain't been doing it that long, but I do study this stuff a lot. See, and that's another thing, Chris. And I've said that too, because I tell people all the time, they're like, what's the most important thing when I get ready to make a video? Is it my camera? Is it my microphone? Is it when I post them? What is it? And I'm like, it's your personality. Because if your personality sucks, it don't matter how good your mic is, how good your camera is, how good your background is. It don't matter. None of that. People aren't going to watch you.
Well, you can have a great personality, but if your microphone is that bad,
well, now there is a such thing as really, really bad. I'm talking about if you have one of these and you're in a car or in a building or in a room, typically people will watch. They will tolerate that.
Yeah, but you know what's funny? Someone had asked me about they had sent me an email or a Facebook message, I can't remember which, but they had asked me about this issue with their laser where it was great. They had triple checked their beam alignment, but there was just one side of their bed where things didn't cut very well. And I said, well, it sounds like your gantry's not level. And I had made a video on that like 5-6 years ago. This is like pre-monetization, just me being bored during COVID. And it's like, I was tuning up my laser and I was like, okay. And so, yeah, I had my cell phone, my smartphone, but I didn't have a mic, and it was far echoey. I mean, there's a bit of an echo in here.
You didn't stay close enough to the mic.
Well, just even being like 5-6 feet away, it was just like, oof. But I also noticed in there, I was very like monotone and I wasn't really expressing very much. And so I was just very kind of dully explaining facts.
Kind of like we all were on our first 50 or so videos.
Yeah. And so I did have someone early on kind of explain, it's like you almost have to you sometimes have to you have to feel like you're over exaggerating your emotions on video. And you'll feel like you're being this clown, but then you watch it back and go, okay, no, I'm just alive. Whereas you just have this normal, like stoic, normal talk, and people are like, okay, that's bad. But being a little more expressive, you don't want to be too fake about it, but sometimes you have to just accentuate it a little bit on video.
Yeah, well, that's like somebody I watched somebody did a video the other day, and they were talking about how to succeed on YouTube, and I was like, okay, I got to watch this one, And they were talking about how you got to have a script and you got to use a teleprompter and you got to do. And I'm like, I couldn't make it through a video if I had to read a script. I squirrel so much that even if I had a script, I would never be able to go with it.
I rarely write a script, but I'll put my bullet points because it helps keep me on track, and the points I want to get across.
I have to edit because I squirrel. I squirrel. Right. I'll get off on hey, y'all guess who I saw the other day while I was at the store, and then I had to go.
Yeah, no, I believe it. You got a few more questions here before we roll up on our 2 hours, but RS Fight's asking, I am trying to cut out some ornaments from MDF for the kids to paint, but no matter how many passes I do or what power settings I use, I cannot get a good clean cut. Is this just the nature of MDF? Not all MDF is made the same. As a matter of fact, some is sold as MDF, and I would call it more hardboard. And so it could just be the material you happen to have. There are some that are far more laser friendly and some that are like trying to cut through metal. So if you've double checked everything that, your lens is clean, your air assist is on, and it's in focus, it may just be the material. Some of them use just these weird resins and glues. Others use, lighter weight stuff. So,
yeah. And I tell you, one thing that I have found too with this stuff that I get from up at Rugby, and I figured out why they do this UV spray on UV coat on this stuff. Cutting is fine, but when I'm engraving, a lot of times it looks like it's got dry skin on it. But what it is that UV coating is so clear that the blue laser actually goes through the coating, engraves the material underneath it, and then sometimes if you don't run enough power, that clear coat just kind of sits on it and looks like sunburnt, like dry skin or something on the engrave. And so it could be too that whatever glue is in that MDF is kind of doing the same thing. It's allowing the laser to pass through it and burn some of it, but it's not affecting that glue that's holding it together. Because I never really thought about it. And I'm like, that's why this material has that, scaly look a lot of times if I don't run enough power, is because it's that clear coat. That clear is so thick on there that it's literally just sitting there. Because it doesn't do it on the CO2s. The CO2s, it won't leave that crust. It only does it on the blue diodes because that UV is allowing the blue to go through. Well, Ryan said he knows what his problem is. I think Ryan's got a pretty good a pretty good personality. Hey, it's hard, guys. Like I said, it ain't easy.
Jerry Richmond says, I like the fact that you guys are so kind to share your expertise and ideas, and I think people like your genuineness. Well, we try. I mean, and I've said it before, I'm a better teacher than a salesman. And so I know that frustrates some of the companies that want to work with me, and that I'm not willing to just jump on all the sales pitches they want to do, but I would much rather show people how to use the tool and give them some ideas. And so appreciate that that's coming through, and hope to continue that. I do try to mix up some fun projects with more tutorials along with the reviews to just keep that blend going.
Yeah. I know me and Steve actually have conversations about this. We don't want to be the TV show per se. We want to be genuine in the way we are. That's one of those things. Brian says, I watch each video in hopes to seeing me dance again. Once was not enough. Hey,
I'm just saying, you did your dance, and then all of a sudden your knees hurt and your hip hurts, and
it wound me up in the hospital. So I don't know that I need to do it again because I done had 2 back surgeries and a knee surgery since then. But now I am starting to feel a little better. My back still, it ain't what it used to be. My knee still crunches when I go down steps. I can go up them fine, but when I go down them, it sounds like I got Rice Krispies in my knee. But I'm actually got my mobility pretty much back. I've been in training now for a few weeks, getting ready for CES. I am going to put together a training video showing you guys what a strict regimen of training I'm doing in preparation for CES this year. Because last year about killed me. All the walking we did right after knee surgery. Oh,
Brian's got some suggestions for you.
Brian says pole dancing is a hobby and great exercise. Maybe you could take it up. I don't think so. I don't really know that anybody in this room would truly want to see me hanging from a pole.
Well, it might not be us, but there are viewers for
I'm
everything.
sure there's an audience somewhere for it, but I don't know that any of you guys would want to see that. It would not be graceful, and it would not be all that attractive. I'm just throwing that out there. Now, I will say this, though. I have become quite the hit at the band kid pickup. The band moms seem to like me. So, and the lady, I think there was a lady flirting with me the other day at the Walmart grocery pickup. I'm just going to be honest with you. That she was like 80, but hey.
Well, I think they do that to see how uncomfortable they can make you young punks look.
Maybe that's it.
Yeah. Radu's asking, first time about to get a 3D printer software to use for designing. There's a number of them out there. I know David uses Fusion. I've blended SketchUp with some of the other tools. Some of the free basics ones, Tinkercad is a great kind of very basic primer. You can actually do bigger things with it, and I've done a few videos with that. Someone mentioned Onshape is another good option. So it kind of a little bit depends. A lot of slicers have 3D modeling tools built into them. Like the Cura brand or branches of things like from Bamboo and others. You can do some modeling within the application itself. It just kind of depends on the complexity of the designs you want to do and what type of software is going to be needed to drive that.
Yeah. I use Fusion, but Steve has some pretty good luck with Tinkercad. But I'm gonna be honest with you, if you're getting your first 3D printer, there's a lot of things that you can download from Thingiverse, or just if you $2 or $3 on Etsy, and you can print a lot of stuff. It even if you can't design, just having one and being able to print some of the things that you can find out there, it makes it worth it. Whew. And, Jeffrey says, I'm a mental health professional. Trust me, there are people out there that would. Oh, I know. I spent 25 years in law enforcement. You'd be surprised some of the stuff I've seen. So, and I was a computer forensic examiner. So go figure that. I got to dig. You want to know what people think about when nobody's around? Dump their computer and dig through all the little relics that you find. I mean, and you would be surprised to some people, some of the stuff. I was like, where do you even find this stuff? But yeah, I did computer forensics examinations for years. And like you have somebody go out to a registered offender's house to do a welfare check or something, and they find something. So they bring you a computer, and then you spend the following 3 days digging through every internet cookie and temp file and thumbnail image on the machine. So mess.
Yeah, Radu, if you want to make the stuff you need, you're definitely going to need to learn a 3D modeling program. So I would start out with some of the free ones, just get a feel for it. A lot of them have like a trial period. It just depends on how complex you want to get with it. So
yeah. Mercy. I don't know how to take that. They actually do. The Walmart does the delivery out here. But I actually volunteered to go get the groceries because my wife was having a busy week that week. So, good question. Steve, you want to speak on that?
It is soon.
That's not really specific, Steve.
Let's see here. It is 21st. So we've got one more. We have one more show in November. That's the 30th. And then, so 1, 2, 3, 4 weeks away on the 21st of December. Yeah. We are going to be doing our annual Christmas live stream where we work with a lot of the companies that we've dealt with over the years, and they kind of help support doing a big giveaway. So we have some prizes lined up, from some CNC type equipment to some laser type equipment to I think there was going to be some maybe gift cards to Clack's pole dancing studio. So I'm sure those will be in high demand.
Yeah, well, there's going to be lots of different stuff, and we haven't really got down and figured everything out yet, but you're going to want to be there if you can, because as always, with those type of scenarios, you're going to have to be present to win. That way we don't have just random people from the internet winning things. So you're going to have to be present because we're going to be using the StreamYard built-in little hashtag picker thing. So you're going to want to be there because there's going to be some pretty good prizes. We don't want to go talking about too much. We need to probably, another week, I think. We need to go ahead and start promoting it and start talking about what we're going to be giving away. But we've got to make some final confirmations first. But there's going to be some stuff that you guys are going to be interested in. I can tell you that now. Lots of machines, just different things.
Yep.
For all different genres.
Yeah, we're trying to mix it up a bit and trying to get some, these we're trying not to get like here's a 25% off type of thing. We're trying to get actual things that'll get shipped to you all. So and in some cases we're validating with them what areas they will ship to, because some of them will dictate, hey, this is within the US, or maybe it's within US and EU or whatever. So we're trying to make sure we have some that cover the whole gamut, but it will be kind of a little bit up to the the sponsors of their individual prizes where they're able and willing to ship to. So not necessarily everything will be available to everybody, but we'll try to make sure that we have some chances for everyone. So it'll be exciting. It'll be fun. We'll try to keep it moving, try not to have too much chaos with it. We're getting better at it each year.
Yeah, and I think Brandy's going to, unless something comes up, Brandy says she's going to be backstage in here. She'll be in the house, but she's going to be backstage helping us, control the document and everything. And when we pick a name, putting that down for us and stuff like that. She tried to do it last year, but there was such a delay between when she heard it and when we drew that it caused a problem. So this year we're going to have her actually in the backstage in the lobby. Maybe we can get her talked into at least popping in and saying, hey, in the beginning of it before we get started doing the giveaways. But I talked her into it because it was a bit much for me and Steve to try to manage last year. And me trying to, I think I was running the pickers and Steve was pulling the stuff out and he was putting the banner up with the keyword. And it's an operation. It's not for the faint of heart or those who are technologically challenged, because there's a lot of moving parts in this screen when you start trying to do the giveaways and stuff. Because I think last year Steve was putting the banner up with the keyword phrase or whatever, and I was getting the picker running, and we had the spreadsheet open on another monitor, and it gets a little weird. Now, Chris, a lot of this, I want to be honest with you, Chris, this may be to your advantage this year because there's probably some companies that would rather ship to Australia than the U.S. now. So it may be to your advantage. They may be like, we prefer Australia. So, because you got to think, if they ship something to the U.S., even though it's a giveaway, I'm pretty sure they still got to pay all that money. So,
well, whoever's receiving it at some point, the importer is going to have to pay something. So,
yeah,
sometimes they pay them up front. But yeah, it's it'll be the 21st, and we will give people heads up. We're looking at the prize pool to see if we maybe need to start a little early or not, because we don't want to rush each individual one, but we also don't want to be 9:30, 10 o'clock our time and still trying to get through it all. We want to be mindful on both ends of that 2-hour window we normally have. So definitely more information out, like Clack said, by early December as we get these final things confirmed. But it's looking cool and should be fun.
Oh yeah, and it's always going to be fun. And we got to see what kind of neat thing Steve comes up with. Maybe we can get Steve to, I don't know, make a sleigh, and he can have his sleigh drive him into his shop or something.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. I mean, are you doing a project for Ryan's thing? I've thought about doing it. I've actually got a couple of ideas, but it's just my schedule right now is kicking my butt.
I've had a couple ideas. I'm trying to stay up on top of things. Like I said, work interrupted half my weekend this weekend, so it kind of disrupted some of my workflow, and so we'll see. But I may get the flip side of that because I'm going to have a long weekend, and I may be extending it by a few hours / whatnot on each end, some just to offset the work that happened this weekend. So maybe I can get caught up and ahead. But I've got a couple of fun things I'm hoping to get done in this next little holiday season. So we'll see.
Yeah, I've got a couple of ideas, but I haven't been able to move on them yet. Whew. Now we got a conversation about who's got the best beard for Santa Claus, you or me. I said yours is fuller, but mine's got more gray.
I'm due for a haircut and whatnot, so who knows? Mine might get a little short here.
Mine's got lots of gray in it. It's not really gray; it's clear. And I didn't really determine that it was clear until I tried to 3D scan myself. And
it didn't show up.
And my hair don't show up. It's just like my head. And I'm like, what the heck? So I guess I'm gonna have to paint myself gray or something. I don't know, with some primer.
Sure.
I got a bunch of cans. I got a bunch of cans of that Monport marking spray. Reckon that'll work?
Sure. Do that. I'm sure that's healthy and safe. So.
Oh me.
All right. Well, we've gone almost 10 minutes over. Unfortunately, I do have a early morning tomorrow.
Oh, so don't say it. Don't say that word.
I got to go to work.
Oh, you said it. We're not supposed to say that word.
Listen, I listened to your retirement countdown for how long? You're going to hear about me still going to work.
Oh, yeah. I hate it for you guys. Me and the rest of the retired folks. Now, on the flip side, though, I mean, it can get boring at times.
Okay.
I guess.
I highly doubt that.
I've heard. That's what I've heard. I've heard it can get bored. Everybody keeps telling me that's going to be my biggest thing is I'm going to get bored. But I haven't been bored yet. See, my kid's at school this week, so I ain't even got to go pick the kid up this week. I could literally be a hermit all week, not leave home.
Well, everyone, it's been fun. You're going to be doing more projects, but definitely go check out the video I dropped out before the live stream, and you can see clack engraved on an ornament.
Careful how you say it.
playing with the curved surface engraving feature of the X-Tool F2 and doing some ornaments like this, and would just love all the support you guys give, and go watch that, drop a comment, and we'll continue with more projects. Like I said, I've got the com marker upgrade on the bench along with some other fun stuff going on, and yeah, hopefully next week's video will come out sooner than half an hour before this live stream.
Yeah, well, I've got the Ultra in the shop that I plan on playing with this week, and like I said, so that's gonna be the biggest thing. That and the finish up on my Monport 45. I've got a video and some B-roll of the upgrade that I did to it, and I'm just going to talk about some of the things that I like about it, don't like, and some of the upgrades I did that are technically optional. You ain't got to do them, but I think they're welcomed upgrades. And then it's going to be all about the F2 Ultra UV this week.
Cool.
That's the plan anyway. So there you have it.
Fun stuff.
And I'll probably end up trying to find some Christmas balls so that I can make like some Sasquatch Christmas balls now that Steve has thrown down the gauntlet. So I may be giving away some Christmas ornaments. But we'll see.
Hey, this is a one of a kind. I'm going to put it up for auction.
Hey, somebody, if you have a drawing, somebody will want it. I guarantee you. What was it, that tumbler that you did?
Yeah, clack on a cup.
Yeah. So
hey, now I can instead of doing the oversized one, I can do the life size clack on a cup.
Oh my goodness. Mercy. I do need to go to Prattville this week though. I need to go to Michael's. You got me thinking about them little tiny tumblers now.
It fits in the Menards. I mean, obviously it's real. So.
Well, y'all have a good one. Good night. Thank you for stopping by.
See you, everyone.
Oh.